What if I told you this so-called new mosque was actually older than the United States by about 100 years, and that behind these walls lies a story of female power, of architectural genius, and Ottoman intrigue that most tourists just miss? Every day, thousands of visitors rush past this building on their way to the Spice Bazaar or to the ferry terminals. Most snap a quick selfie, a photo, or maybe wander inside for a couple of minutes, and then move on thinking they've done this landmark. But having lived in Istanbul for almost a decade now, I've discovered this isn't just another mosque. It's actually an architectural masterpiece with a shockingly dramatic origin story that involves female rulers, mad sultans, and almost a century of construction delays. Today, I'm taking you beyond the tourist facade to discover the ingenious architectural trick that makes thousands of tons of stone appear to float in mid-air, the mathematical secrets hidden behind these tiles, how to experience this building the way the architects intended, and begin the remarkable story of how two women created this masterpiece in a male-dominated empire. First, let's clear up the most obvious misconception: its name. Despite being called the New Mosque, this building is older than the USA by over 100 years. Construction began in 1597, though its story is much more complicated than most guidebooks will tell you. This was actually the last imperial mosque commissioned by the royal family, so technically it is the newest of the imperial mosques. It just happens to be over 350 years old. Now, I don't know about you, but every time I walk in there, I still get this sense of wow. But what exactly creates that feeling? Let me show you. As you enter, look up. What's the impression it gives you? It feels like the dome is somehow floating in space. It's actually a brilliant architectural illusion created with light. Unlike most European cathedrals, which often feel dark and imposing, Ottoman architects became masters at manipulating light. The building has windows strategically placed to create this ethereal quality. The architect David Ayer positioned these windows to catch the morning and evening light. Now, whilst everyone's looking up at the dome, I want to show you something else you can't miss. These tiles aren't just pretty decorations. They're actually complex mathematical expressions created in ceramic form. Ottoman architects faced a unique challenge. Islamic tradition discouraged depicting humans and animals in religious spaces in order to prevent idol worship. So instead of painting saints and biblical scenes like their European counterparts, they turned to something far more abstract, encoding the concept of infinity through mathematics. See how these patterns seem to extend indefinitely? It creates what mathematicians call infinite scaling. The same patterns repeating at ever smaller scales without end. And each pattern carries a symbolic meaning. The interlacing geometric forms symbolize the interconnectedness of all creation. These artisans were basically doing advanced mathematics and philosophy, and doing it centuries before computer-generated fractals existed. But here's something even more fascinating that tourists never discover. Yeni Cami isn't just a single building. It's part of what Ottomans call a külliye, essentially a self-contained community complex. And the most famous part of this complex is something you may have visited without even realizing the connection. The Mosque Çarşısı, or as tourists know it, the Spice Bazaar. This iconic market was actually built as an integral part of the mosque complex. The rents from these shops were specifically designed to support the mosque and its services. A brilliant, self-sustaining economic model. But the original complex went far beyond just the market. It included a school for teaching children, a public kitchen for feeding the poor, a hospital, and this mausoleum. This turbe, or tomb, holds the remains of Turhan Sultan, one of the two remarkable women responsible for this building. And this is where the truly fascinating story begins. During a period historians call the Sultanate of Women, female power in the Ottoman court reached unprecedented heights. These weren't just passive royal wives, they were essentially running the empire from behind the scenes. The mosque was actually started by Safiye Sultan in 1597, the wife of Murad III. But due to political upheaval and family deaths, construction was halted. This would have been after she had spent the modern equivalent of millions just building the foundations. The building sat abandoned for over 50 years during an incredibly politically turbulent time, until Turhan Sultan stepped in to complete it in 1663. Their story involves remarkable power plays, a devastating fire, and a chain of events that would make Game of Thrones look tame. But that's a story for my next video. Once it's done, I'll post it here. But for now, let me show you how to experience this place like a true insider. First, timing is everything. Get here sometime in the late afternoon, about 90 minutes before sunset. You'll catch what photographers call the golden hour, when sunlight streams through these windows and creates beautiful patterns around the mosque and its walls. Secondly, don't miss the courtyard view out to the Golden Horn. You can see all the way across to the Galata Tower. Thirdly, make sure you walk around the perimeter of the building on the outside, because there are some great sights around the back. Through this archway that leads through to the rear of the building, you can actually access the gallery, which has some incredible examples of the Iznik tiles that were used in the building. And finally, whilst you're around the back of the building, you can combine it with a visit to the mausoleum, where you can find the tomb of Turhan Sultan and her family, including her husband, Murad III. And of course, don't forget the street vendors outside. You can get a corn on the cob, or maybe some chestnuts. For those planning to visit, the Yeni Cami sits on the southern end of the Galata Bridge, right at the Eminönü tram and ferry stations. Like all active mosques, it closes briefly during prayer times, which are usually displayed outside. Yeni Cami isn't just another beautiful mosque in Istanbul's skyline. It's a masterpiece of architecture, mathematics, and social design, with a fascinating political backstory. Next time you're crossing the Galata Bridge or heading to the Spice Bazaar, make sure to carve out at least 20 minutes to go and have a look at the mosque. In my next video, I'll tell you the full story of the woman that made this mosque possible, how they rose to power and how they maintained it, and the indelible mark they left on Ottoman history. If you found this deeper look into Istanbul's landmarks helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos, and let me know in the comments which landmarks you'd like to see next on the channel. Until next time, I'm Jim Lake, and I'm a storyteller, not a historian.